I was a voice that wasn't heard, but could only hear myself.
There is a population of young women that are deeply distressed, that are completely estranged, that certainly don't have any family base to speak of, are involved in extremely high-risk behaviour. At that level, we really don't have the resources to meet their needs. The child is uplifted. If there is serious risk and serious concern about the well-being of the child, the role of the agency is to actually ensure safety for the child, and often that means taking the child from the mother.
And that woman and her children having to get over that whole experience with childhood and family, that whole experience, how it was managed, you see the key word is safe, yeah? Safe for children and mum.
It is often seemed to me quite a brutal process, because what you have is a deeply distressed, usually young woman, that herself has been the recipient of abuse as a child and has often herself been uplifted by SIFs and become part of the system.
Ripping them apart. Is that, you know, Velcro, when you go like that? Yeah, rip it off, that's what's happening here. And you just rip, rip, rip.
I've seen evidence of these young women then going through and becoming mothers, and then their children having to be uplifted by SIF.
It's setting them up for failure time and time again. Yeah, expecting people to run when they don't even know how to sit up.
It's often in a crisis situation, and the toll on these young women is incredible. What they're actually encountered with is quite a very swift operation of uplifting the child. Often there is no preparation for that. Often it is done without warning. Basically, often directly after having given birth, the child is taken.
I'm a New Zealand-born Samoan. My parents coming over here to New Zealand, they had a life of struggle with poverty, alcohol, frustration, and also being raised in a family where there was violence. And in saying that, there was also a lot of love. I sort of was attracted to the kind of, you know, person that was sort of like my father, that used to beat my mother. And then it was happening to me, and then I was left raising the children on my own. You know, there were times when, you know, there wasn't enough food. I myself, that was the victim, also became the abuser. And that was so huge for me to take on board, that I so denied that. No, I'm not like that. Being involved with SIFs, you know, that just exhausted my time, my energy. I was a voice that wasn't heard, but could only hear myself. And I didn't give up. I thought, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to carry on until, you know, they hear me and hear me well, that, you know, I'm going to get my children back.
At the end of the day, we've got broken children becoming broken parents and continually being broken by the system that we have around them.
If you love your children, then you would do whatever it takes. I'm just glad that that part, you know, of my life is over and done with. That I don't have to deal with the social work anymore. That, you know, my children are alive and well and they're with me.
I'd like to see these women have more of a voice, yeah, and not necessarily the voice that we might want to hear.
It's about inspiring young, battered and bruised women, essentially, that, I mean, some of these women are so marginalised that they really can't even take on basic learning or cognitive ability.
They were my children. I had a responsibility, you know, to raise them. I mean, God gave them to me for a purpose, so I had a responsibility to look after them and just say that I will do my best. And yes, I made mistakes, but that's then and this is now.
At some point in their lives, we have to break the cycle.
I feel like a motherless child.